Welcome everyone to another edition of the National Soccer Coaches Association of Canada Behind the Bench. We're going to be talking about referees today, and so I'm thrilled to introduce our panelists today. First, we have Fabrizio Stasolla, who is an active referee with the Canadian Soccer Association, and he's also got some experience in the Canadian Premier League, the newly launched Canadian Professional Soccer League, and Mario Iozzi, who is also a very experienced referee, youth referee, educator, working out of Ontario. I'll just before we get started, I'll remind everyone who's watching now, please, we want to make this as interactive as possible. So please feel free, if you have a question for either of our panelists, you can use the chat function in Zoom, or you can use, there's actually a little Q&A, question and answer box. Feel free. We're here for an hour, and as I said, it's a topic that should be important to all coaches. The topic is how referees and coaches can work together. And I guess what I'll do is I'll start it off, Fabrizio. Why don't you start by giving us your a little bit maybe about your background, how you became a referee, and then I'd like to hear your initial take on that topic, on that question.
Yeah, so I've been refereeing for now 18 years. This would be the 18th season. I started by going to games to watch my dad. I used to go to any field in Scarborough that he ever was refereeing, and every once in a while I would pick up the flag and actually run beside him if he was on the line as an assistant referee. But anyways, I got started basically through that, and then through my local soccer club. I played my whole life with Scarborough Blizzard Soccer Club, and my dad was the head referee, luckily at that time. So we ended up our whole team. He forced our whole team to take the course. Which was interesting from that is I think I might be the only one that's still actively refereeing at any level. But the cool thing was, we started grassroots football, and throughout the years, I've just continued on. And I'm now, this will be my 4th season as a national referee. And I'm sure we're going to get more into that as we go. But just to, even with the topic, I just love this because I think it's a big piece, right? Players, referees, and coaches. We're the big pillars for the game, and I think we need to work together, for lack of better phrases. Like, we need to work together at all costs.
Okay, great. That's I think it's a good response. And Mario, I have to say, Paul DeLeo just logged on, and he said he only came here for you. So why don't you tell Paul and everybody else again a little bit about your background? How and why did you decide to become a referee, and how has your career gone? In that role, and maybe then we'll get started with trying to tackle that question in more detail.
Sure. Same frame as Fabrizio. I started when I was 16 years old. I was an active player, and I remember when I was younger, we had a lot of disagreements with the referee at the time. So one of the boys in our team, his father was a referee, and actually at that time, one of our good friends of the team was Gord Aerosmith. So he says, you guys are always going to complain, take the referee's course. So basically the whole team took the referee's course, just like you, Fabrizio. Your team was with Blizzard. We were with Gilwood at the time, and we took the course, and I think to this day, only 2 of us are still active in it, and the rest of all stopped. And so I stopped along the way a few times when we had children in our family here. And then my kids got me back into it when they said, Dad, we'll be a referee if you become a referee again. I said, okay. And then I did it again. Became the head referee at Pickering Soccer Club from 2010 to 2017. At that time, I retired from teaching in 2017. So I also retired from Pickering Soccer Club at the time as well, too, but still being an active referee.
Yeah. And I know, I'm here at Ontario Tech University, and I know, we ran into you 2 years ago, because last year there was no season, obviously, but we're still seeing you on the field now, and that's great. So again, the topic is about coaches and referees working together, and I've personally, in my own experience as a player, as a coach, as a fitness coach at all these different levels, I've always felt that things work better when coaches and referees do work together, but they don't always work together. And so, like, let's say, Fabrizio, what are some of the obstacles, let's say, that in games and big games and important games, what are some of the challenges that come up when you're trying to deal with coaches in those situations?
Yeah, I think it's definitely points of views, right? Like everyone has an opinions. Everyone has their opinion on the field. 22 players plus the, even within your refereeing crew, and then every single coach involved, right? So everyone has an opinion out there, and I think it's the biggest obstacle to learn how to manage it. So some of the things, for example, for me is just being able to understand what the frustration is from a player's perspective or a coach's perspective, and then work with it and see where I can go and maybe like be better for the game for myself. But again, I go into every game and I start it from the beginning. Like I break the ice as soon as I get there, and then I try to see what the feeling, like I feel the coaches, how they feel that day. Because sometimes there's days where you can throw jokes in like left, right, and center, and then there's days where you need to just do the job and that's one of the biggest things for me is just feeling the vibe and definitely, getting through the opinions of everyone and how do you manage it.
Yeah. So you if I'm paraphrasing, like you don't necessarily feel like you want to take the same consistent approach with everybody. You have to see how are the players reacting, how are the coaches, maybe the situation, how old are they, what type of game is it, etc. Yeah. So Mario, anything to add about that point? Or?
Actually, Fabrizio's dead on about that. It's personalities. So you got to go in there and introduce yourself, find out what the vibe is, as he said. Could be in a really important game. Could be a game they're playing back to back. These two teams, they saw each other last week and they're playing each other again. And so it's, they had a scuffle the game before, and so they might have a scuffle this game here as well. So you got to know what intensity this game might be. Is it a battle for first place, or are there two cellar dwellers? A lot of things like that come into play. Sometimes the coaches just hate each other. And so it just comes onto the field as well, because the players take it on as well too. There's a lot of things like that. But I'll deal with Fabrizio will deal with more of the national part, and I'll deal more with the beginner part, where we start with the youth off, or because I'm an instructor as well too. And so I'll talk about that part of it, and then Fabrizio will talk about the high level part.
The higher level. Okay, absolutely. So I want to come to a point, Mario, that you mentioned, because it stuck in my mind, and I think this is a common maybe a common challenge that probably a lot of players and coaches have. You mentioned, when you were still playing, I guess it was Gord Aerosmith that told you, look, you guys are complaining all the time about things. Why don't you, take the referee's course and learn. So I think that what happens, because I experienced this too, even just through coaching and the laws of the game exam and learning more, that oftentimes if, once you start to see how difficult it is to do the job of a referee, then you're a lot less likely to criticize them. Do you agree with that?
No, because some of the worst players are referees sometimes are the referees themselves.
Okay, all right. Yeah, that's an interesting point. Okay.
So I know there was one referee who was a provincial referee, and he was terrible, and he was a keeper.
Okay.
And he complained about everything.
Yeah.
But in terms of that, though, it gives the players who become referees better knowledge of the game. They understand what they can get away with sometimes, or what they can't get away with, depending on the personality of the referee as well. And they know they'll accept calls as well too. They won't challenge everything. Most players like that. So it gives you better knowledge of the game. If you don't have that, you're going on past experience from past calls from past games there. And then you want to apply to the new game that you're in. And sometimes what happens from year to year, laws change. I mean, I still have people, when you referee the old timers games, you get probably this too, Fabrizio, they'll throw in laws of the game from 30, 40 years ago. And I said, no, that doesn't apply today. So you got to educate them on that as well too.
Thank you for watching this short preview video from the National Soccer Coaches Association of Canada. To see the full video, plus have access to hundreds of other coaching videos, blogs, webinars, and podcasts, plus free and discounted coach education courses and other soccer merchandise, plus to have exclusive access to register for all future NSCAC conventions, both live and online, Click on the link below to become a member of the NSCAC today. Also, please remember to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, as your continued support allows us to continue to provide coach education and coach development resources to soccer coaches across Canada and worldwide. Thank you again for your continued support, and we look forward to seeing you at future NSCAC events.